Time for the news. All right, so there's been a ton of class tuning and changes. We can't go over them all, but I wanted to give everybody an opportunity to kind of talk about ones they like or dislike. Anybody want to go first? Table, you want to go first?
We're like all trying to be polite. I'll talk about some Druid stuff.
Druid stuff. You can talk about shabby stuff too.
I sure can. In phase 1 I was feral the whole time. Decided to heal in phase 2. Try something new. Hadn't done it before. It's probably the best time for me to try it out. So the resto changes look very interesting. Did some math, looked into some stuff, talked to some other people, and Life Bloom is going to be a similar efficiency to Healing Touch spamming now. So now it's kind of like you keep Healing Touch rolling on the tank, and in certain situations you can let it bloom if like a burst heal is needed or something like that. Like that's so that's cool. Like Life Bloom will actually be useful for tank healing now, whereas before it wasn't really that good. So that mana cost reduction is really nice. And then Nourish is a similar deal. Like having Nourish with a hot up is actually more efficient than Healing Touch now, so that's kind of cool. So they're incentivizing the use of actual healing runes. The issue mainly is that if you're like, I could see that stuff being useful if you're gonna solo heal, but with running like a lot of raids will run a priest and a druid, it's overkill. Like you don't need Life Bloom and Nourish if you have a priest with you healing. So
I was gonna say, who uses anything but Wild Growth on their druid?
I mean, Wild Growth and Healing Touch, that's the bread and butter, really. Healing Touch for oh shit, and Wild Growth for the mainstay heal. But
Isn't Druid healing though like super OP at the moment?
Yeah, Wild Growth is really strong.
Mm-hmm.
Like
don't change it though. Like not that OP, you know.
I think these are like
they might have to change it.
Some of it's for I think Wild Growth might be a little too strong, because if that's the only thing, like right now, literally on my Druid, I have Boomy Runes and Wild Growth. Like so I'm slinging Wraths and then Wild Growth when people need healing. Like that's like,
and never running out of mana.
No, I run out of mana, but it's usually only if the fight is like really long or people are taking a lot of damage.
So on the last boss.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I don't really get to DPS that much on the last boss. And I'm clicking buttons on cooldown, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I am too on the priest. Like
yeah, I think like it's going to be useful for PvP, especially like STV event. Like I'm looking forward to heal that the first STV event I do after these changes go live. I'm gonna for sure put on Wild Growth and Life Bloom and just laugh at anybody who tries to kill anyone in my party. So that's interesting. And I think it's more of a change going forward for future content as well, like the 40-man content where you're going to be hopefully full-time healing as Resto Druid instead of like maybe contributing with DPS here and there, but having like Living Seed actually be decent, because that was one of the other adjustments as well, if I'm not mistaken. So like they're doing things to incentivize using the glyphs that were or the runes that were supposed to be for Resto that aren't being used right now. So I think that's more implication for max level 40 rating where you're actually healing full time. I think that'll be an interesting thing. So it seems like they're looking ahead as much as they are looking at right now, which is really nice.
Nice. Was there the Chamois one? Did you want to talk about that?
There's some other Druid stuff going on too, but the rest of the stuff is probably the biggest thing. The Chamois stuff, they're doing some stuff with like two-handed spec. They're changing Shamanistic Rage to work differently. Like Shamanistic Rage previously was based on your attack power, your spell power, or your healing power, and now it's just going to be straight up 5% of the shaman's max mana. So the bigger mana pool, the more powerful it is. And the buff that the group gets is based off of the percentage of what you get. So if you have a bigger mana pool, you will get more mana back, and your party will get more mana back. But if you have a smaller mana pool, it's the opposite. Two-handed mastery is going to work similarly to the way that dual wield mastery works, or dual wield spec works right now, where you get a bonus to your hit chance with spells when you have the rune equipped. So two-handed mastery is now going to function in a similar way to that. Spirit of the Alpha is going to be nuts. Like everybody's going to have that. Like everybody who's doing DPS as an enhancement shaman is for sure going to want Spirit of the Alpha, because when you cast Spirit of the Alpha, you gain 20% increased attack power if it's cast on a target other than yourself. So that's a huge boost to enhancement shaman just from that. That's going to be a ton of attack power. And then they changed some stuff with Earth Shield. Earth Shield is way cheaper to cast now, and it has more charges and it heals more. They went from 3 charges up to 9, and the cost is reduced by 67%, and it heals about 50% more than it did before. So Earth Shield might actually see some use now from Resto Shamans.
Just to jump in here, doesn't it also get like a lot from healing power? I need to double check that, but
It's got a pretty good spell power coefficient. Yeah,
pretty sure that I want to play a Resto Shaman and just put that on people.
Yeah,
it looks so fun.
It's like because Resto of the healing specs, I think Shaman probably needed the most help, and I think this could be a pretty good step towards getting some help for Resto Shamans, is making Earth Shield actually useful.
Yeah, I mean, this phase, it's pretty much Priest Druid that you want to have in Gnomer.
Or Priest Mage, pretty much. Priest is always in there for sure, but it's always going to be either Druid or Mage for the other.
I would beg to differ that actually Shadow Priest and then Shaman Druid would be the best setup, but I could be wrong.
I mean, I'd be down to try that.
Take my job, but I don't know if I like that. You're like trying to min-max so hard that you've added like 2 off healers to take my job.
I know.
I don't know,
right?
Bob. I don't know if we're going to.
I don't know. It's just then you know, there's no question on homunculi. Then you don't have to take a warrior at the moment. Like I don't know.
Whoa!
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I don't know about that, dude. You got to nix everybody here.
The gloves are off.
I'm a warrior
I'm sitting here trying to look at all the changes, and I'm like, yeah, there's literally nothing for my class that happened at all aside from the armor nerf. I'm like, this is
same with Priest.
Yeah,
There's like, I guess, Shadow, but
The armor nerf could be substantial, though, right? I mean, maybe that's all you needed.
it is. It's going to be pretty substantial, but
I think they're trying to go slow with warriors because they're afraid of warriors doing exactly what they did last phase. Like, but something that is weird about warriors, because now that my warriors hit, like, he's almost 36. Question for you, Hammer. Why is there no plate?
yeah, I mean, I think they're just staying true to classic, to be honest. But there's a few.
There's a few pieces in the BIS list for DPS. I think that's the biggest thing is they're like, if we give them plate, they're going to destroy people in PvP.
Yeah, which also wouldn't be the worst thing because you just get steamrolled in PvP anyway. So it would be nice to be wearing full plate.
I don't know. I've been steamrolled by some pretty awesome warriors with 2 healers following them around in AB.
Yeah, that's the best play, and that's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, man.
But when you're alone, like it is just
I know, it's horrible.
The worst. It's the worst.
I
I've
mean,
been leveling my
classic,
rogue and
though, right?
What's up?
Warriors alone, like in classic in general,
Terrible.
have been kind of like,
Yeah, it's not just a sod thing. It's been like that since the beginning of time. Like it's just with a pocket healer, they just become like an unstoppable juggernaut, you know. But by yourself, it is not much. It's not fun. I'll be honest. It's not fun at all.
I'll never forget that time I solo queued AV in Vanilla Classic as Fury Prot without even changing my spec at all. I just put on a 2-hander. I don't know what I was thinking. I died.
Dude, Fury Prot actually, like, if we're talking about anything but raiding 40-man in vanilla, Fury Prot sucks ass. It sucks in dungeons. It completely sucks. Like, you would much rather be full prot.
Diamond Flask set, like.
I mean, maybe, but like in any other situation except for crazy hardcore 40-man raiding, Fury Prot is just absolutely dog shit. Like, it sucks.
Yeah, it was better when you could like make your character sit down and get in rage procs, but they made it so that then now that only happens when you actually get crit, like for real, instead of from sitting down. As soon as they made that change, I was like, okay, well, there goes my open world farm.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing why I get so upset about warrior PvP is the level, like the discrepancy between warrior PvP and everything else in SOD is so massive. Like my rogue is level 30. I grinded from 26 to 30 on the Knolls in Hillsbrad, grabbing all the chests to get all the Waylaid supplies. I just sat there for hours. And it was the most fun I've ever had in my life. I could literally 1v3 people. I was killing level 34s at 26. And I probably can get soloed by a level 30 at 40 on my warrior with like 8 pieces of Gnomeregan. It like no problem.
Okay, to make it feel a little bit better though, last night I had 2 awesome people with me supporting me, and I was able to kill quite a few level 40s on my 35 warrior.
Yeah.
Those 2 people might just be here. Yeah,
We were both just spamming heals on him the whole time.
Yeah.
but I felt zug.
And those 2 people also got murdered a lot when Bob went AFK, and those 40s came back and tried to hunt us all down.
Bob got to the end of his leash, and it was one of those things where you're drinking and like you're all happy-go-lucky, and all of a sudden you're like hit a wall, and you're like, I gotta go to bed. And that was what I did. Like we were mid-quest, I was like, I'm done. And then I walked away.
The visual of Bob having an absolute blast while his 2 healers are like sweating and like they're desperately trying to keep him alive.
It's exactly what it was.
And he's like, did you see how much I owned them? And I'm like, you did that.
You guys are both home. You're like, oh my God.
I am master. Oh, it was so funny. It was so funny.
Every 40 we passed, he was like, I'm going to go kill them. And I was like, okay.
Hey, man, the Zug is going to Zug what the Zug wants.
Listen, goes a little put out by Table for kind of glossing over the Boomkin changes here. So I think we should
he even
touch on
gave
that.
he even gave you the okay, brother. Damn, that's
sorry,
rough.
I still have the article up. Yeah, the Boomkin changes are sick. Fear of the Storm Rage is one of them. When you now, like starting tomorrow when the change goes live, if you get a Fear of the Storm Rage proc while you're in Moonkin form, or really just any form, like you can cast that heal in any form now, which is like crazy. Like you get a Fear of the Storm proc, you could go bear form and then heal yourself while you're in bear form. It's insane, which is sick. And then
is this a good thing? Do we like this?
I mean, it's good for farming. It's going to make it easier for me to solo farm my arachnid gloves from RFD.
All right.
Then the non-healing resto spells can now be cast in Boomkin form, like Innervate, Rebirth, etc., Decurse, like all that sort of stuff.
That's huge.
Mark and Gift, like that stuff can be cast in Boomkin form now. So the true cost of those spells remains what it says in the tooltip instead of the cost of the spell plus reshifting into Boomkin form. And then also the damage of Moonfire is increased while you're in Moonkin form, as well as the dot damage. And Sunfire allegedly will also be affected by this change, but we'll see. You know, not everything always lines up the way that they want it to. So, and who knows? Hopefully, it's not buggy right out the gate. But it's important to note that change is only when you are in Boomkin form. So when you're in Moonkin form, your dots will hit harder, which is nice. Like they're actually might get worked back into the rotation instead of it just being Wrath, Star Surge, and Starfire. So the dots being included in the rotation will be interesting. So that'll be an interesting delineation between pure Boomkin and hybrid Boomkin, because right now there's a lot of like 3100 balanced druids who just have wild growth in their gloves. So with this change, their damage increase might be enough to warrant having a pure Boomkin in the raid and then having an actual resto druid instead of having one druid doing both things. So we'll see. We'll see how it shakes out. But cool changes, definitely cool.
Okay, and to circle back to Hammer, talking about the Warriors, I was just gonna say, like at the end of that, like unfortunately, unless they normalize the way that Rage works, like to be more of a similar thing to maybe the way Rogue's energy works. Like it doesn't have to be exactly like it, of course. Like it could build during combat or whatever. But the fact that you get more rage, the more gear you get, is always going to be just an extreme pain in the ass for them to do. So unless they do that, Warriors are always going to start off slow and hit hard as fuck towards the end. That's just kind of the way it is, right?
Hang on.
Yeah,
that's it. Just hang on.
Yeah, I mean, so
you'll have your time.
Yeah,
classic warrior cope. Soon, guys, I swear.
I describe Warriors as a Lamborghini, and when you first start out, you have street tires, not racing tires. You're an automatic transmission. You don't have doors. Like you don't have a back fin. You have a Pinto engine, but like as you slowly work it up, all of a sudden, bam, you're awesome. But they're also, when fully worked up, extremely hard to drive. I mean, a Lamborghini is basically what they are.
I agree. That's a good way to put it.
I mean, right now they're a stripped down Lamborghini.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. They're basically, when
Right
you
now,
take
they're
those
a 91
cars,
Corolla.
yeah, those kits that you just like
Corolla.
make a fake car. It's a fake Lamborghini, so.
Yeah, like my dad had a car that he had to put a doorstop in the window so that the window wouldn't go down, and as a kid, we all loved to just pull the doorstop out and watch him yell angrily for like 10 minutes while he's trying to get the window back into the...
All right. Jerome, any thoughts on the classes you play or any changes
Well,
coming
none of
through?
my classes got changed, but I'm excited about the Earthshield change. Kind of worried that they're a little in over their head balancing healers. Feels like Resto Druid's going to be too good, and
It's already too good.
Then they're going to make Holy Paladins too good, and then priests are going to be bad, and no one's going to take us to the raid. So, a little bit
they're
worried
going to be
about
like,
that.
"Oh, you're holy, not shadow." Like, come on.
Yeah, we don't need you anymore. Sorry.
It's already to the point where, like, if you're not,
I saw you playing
0-0 as a priest, you're like, really, you're not bringing PI. Like, it's already to that point.
Yep.
Don't let
Listen,
Jerome.
I
I
bring
don't want to end up like
PI
a rogue where I have to pay to get into raids. That's all I don't want.
Well, I've seen you play
I
in
bring
Shadow.
PI, and half the time, like, I forget to even use it, to be honest.
I've seen Jerome play some
the
Shadow.
good mages don't let you forget.
Yeah, they have
Jerome's
macros
not
that scam
answering,
you.
but he's been playing some
And
Shadow.
if we had somebody, but we have raids with 90% melee. So I don't know what my PI
Sometimes
is.
I cheat on Disc Priest and I play Shadow, but the important thing to note is that I always come back home in the end,
Yeah. You always got to come back home.
I don't think it's immoral to play Shadow once in a while.
It's okay.
On a nice late night, been drinking a little bit, just play Shadow Priest.
Yep, just I do
agree though, like from a healing perspective, it's like, I don't know, I feel like Mel has to work a lot harder to do the healing she does compared to the healing that I do. I literally press every once in a while I'll throw out a regrowth, if my mana is fine and I want to do some regen, I'll throw out a regrowth, I'll throw out a couple of rejuves.
But it happens.
I'll do some of that stuff, but it's mostly wild growth, and that just doesn't really feel that fair that I press one button and that's enough to like match Mel's healing when she's like sweating her ass off trying to keep people from killing themselves in the raid.
It's true. And then what's even more annoying is when the boomy is wild growthing and then they're like matching me on the healing meters, and I'm like, get the F out of here. Like, you need to calm down. Don't push your wild growth button.
Mel. Meters don't matter.
Oh, I know.
I mean, I saw my overhealing.
Still annoying.
From the last number we did, I saw my overhealing and I was appalled. I mean, most of it is like,
because wild growth's still more efficient if there's two people that need healing. Like if there's two people in the group that need healing, wild growth is still more efficient. And you're
56% of my overhealing was wild growth. So like,
I'm sure.
But like, I don't know, wild growth is just, I don't know, it feels a little overtuned. It feels like a little too strong. Like there's no, it's like we were talking about before with the other runes, like Life Bloom and Nourish, nobody takes them. Those are like PvP runes, basically. Nobody takes that shit. So like, there's no incentive to, like, wild growth is so strong that you don't need the other healing solutions to the damage problem. So like, I don't know. Don't get me wrong. Wild growth is a very good heal. It's good to have one in the raid, but it's almost, I don't know, if you're not the type of healer that enjoys contributing towards damage as well, if you would rather just be actually healing the whole time, then it can't be fun to be a Resto Druid right now. Like the people who are having the most fun healing on a Druid right now are the ones who like contributing with damage.
Yeah, I mean, that was we had Zatar on early on in phase 1, and he said the same thing. That you're still doing damage.
I may or may not have almost let people die though on my Druid because I'm waiting for that instant healing touch proc. Right? You know how you're spamming Wrath, waiting for the instant healing touch proc, and it doesn't come, and you're like, "Oh, should I do another one?" Or
that's not usually why I spam. I'm usually spam Wrath and fish for crits for Dream State. That's usually why I'm spamming Wrath.
This was Healer Talk, brought to you by Warcraft Reloaded.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay. So there's no changes for Priest then, Mel?
Just shadow changes. There's Mind Spike, Void Plague. They increase those damage.
Just like damage. The cooler thing in the game. I don't know. I'm kidding.
Wait, Jerome's muted.
I think he's talking to his stream.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, yeah. I was just saying. I was just talking to Mel, telepathically.
I got you.
All right, well, I guess I'll go here at the very end. The rogue changes are interesting. Like, they've been trying to fix Shuriken Toss to be something other than dog shit. I don't know. I don't think they've succeeded that. They made the range not pull things from across the map. I guess that's a change, but I don't think it's really going to do much. Cool change for PvP, like quick draw and between the eyes and redirect, which I really still haven't found a use for. Will now properly reset with prep, so that's good. And then the interesting one though is the one that's becoming on Tuesday. So main Goosh now generates 3 combo points on your target and base energy costs reduced to 15. So this is I don't think anybody's ever used this except for the first time they used it and then they never used it again type of deal. This is the rune goes on your gloves, so you'd have to give up mutilate or saber slash or any of those main things, and it's a instant attack that attacks with your offhand and gives you, I believe, 10% parry for a certain amount of time. So it was basically worthless, but now it generates 3 combo points, which could be cool. I mean, that could be a good opener now to like get yourself, pop that really quick, then boom, pop into your the other parry one. It could be a nice little opener. But then also on top of that, just a flesh wound, which is the tank rune, now has even more threat added to all of your attacks. So it looks like a rogue's going to be able to wink at a target on its left and it will, or spit on him and that'll get aggro. So rogue tanks might just be sick all of a sudden. We'll have to see. But yeah, I'm interested to see people trying it come Tuesday. But what do you guys think about the rogue change? Do you think there's a world where rogue could be the best tank?
In certain situations, yeah. I think like on a boss that does a lot of spell damage, probably not. But I mean, you could just take a look at.
I mean, you could say that for warrior too.
Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, warrior at least has the usually the type of gear that warrior tanks wear has more stam on it anyway. So like at least they have a little bit more of a health pool to soak some of that damage. Whereas rogues, usually the leather that they're wearing doesn't normally prioritize stam. So rogue health pools are usually a little lower. Who knows if they'll change that going forward with some of the new stuff that they add gear wise.
I don't know, man. I got a lot of stamina on my rogue. Because like I keep the stuff for different PvP stuff, but there's different pieces of gear, like the shoulders out of Razorfin Downs, like that's 15 stamina. Like, there's different
some
gear
that has like just bonus armor and stamina. That's all that's on it. Like there's a few of those pieces that are like purely mitigation pieces. So yeah, if you're wearing stuff like that, probably okay. But I mean, I don't know. Like it's just what it kind of seems like is with adding these new tank specs, it kind of seems like each tank sort of has its niche. When you think about like a 40-man raiding environment, there's probably going to be certain bosses in the raid that are best suited to be tanked by a rogue versus a shaman versus a paladin versus whatever. You know what I mean? Like there's going to be fights where you're probably going to want to switch out and stuff like that, which is fine.
I hope they get that going. That's what I wanted from the start, but hasn't seemed to have happened yet. But also, people just aren't willing to tank, even if their class can. People are scared. Hammer, what do you think of the rogue change?
That has been rogue tanking, and he just off-tanked Gnomeregan, and they only had a few deaths, so I think it's going to start being a thing, as weird as it seems.
Yeah, and buffing it, I mean, yeah, you're probably going to see a lot more. I you know what it is, Bob? In my opinion, I don't know if it's that people are afraid to tank, but I personally just, here's how I've always looked at tanking and healing, right? And this is extremely biased because I just like DPS, but for me, I don't see, I guess everyone finds whatever they find fun, right? But tanking in particular, like I actually played healer quite a bit back in like actual TBC, but tanking, well, like what is the what is the reward you get for tanking, right? Like, I don't understand what is the incentive? Yeah. Like what is the incentive? Why would someone want to play tank? Especially tank
taking
rogue,
the blame.
when you could just play DPS.
Yeah, taking the blame for everybody else's mistakes. That's part of being a tank. Taking the blame for any wipes. Expected to raid lead. What are the other? Yeah. What are the pros?
I have an interesting perspective on it because, like, I started tanking in Vanilla Classic and then shifted towards melee DPS, and now I'm healing. So I have like a weird perspective on things. I like tanking because of like the role fantasy of it. Like, specifically when I started tanking in Vanilla Classic, it was before I knew that Fury Prot was gonna for sure be the meta at endgame. So I thought the idea of Shield Slam, like just the ability Shield Slam, I thought sounded cool as fuck. Like, to use your normally protective piece of equipment as an offensive weapon sounded awesome.
Spartan is what Spartan does, right?
Yeah, like even going to like back to other games that I've played, like this is like a role fantasy that has like built up in a lot of people's minds from playing other fantasy games like D&D. Like in D&D, like 3rd and 4th edition, the fighter class had a similar ability for damaging an enemy with your shield. So like, you know, it's goes back like a number of years to using your shield as an offensive weapon, and warriors having Shield Slam fit that perfectly. And then just the sound Shield Slam makes is cool too.
Yeah,
so like
metal.
Yeah,
Crunch,
it's fun. It was just fun to do that. It's fun to, like, you know, to know that that a boss is trying to kill you as hard as much as it can, and you are surviving. Like there's like an interesting like little bit of a rush with that, and like tanking raids in particular, like, you know, when you have 39 other people counting on you to not die, and then you don't die and you kill the boss, it feels nice.
Yeah, guys, if you don't think shields are cool, I implore you to watch a movie called 300, and if you could see all the ways a shield can be an awesome fucking weapon, like just awesome. So
I think one of the benefits, though, of having so many classes that can tank, I think, is that it doesn't make it super difficult for them to learn how to tank in that spec, and they can then help get a raid spot or help another, you know, group get Gnomer done. Like, there's so many melee right now and so many people that want to do Gnomer, and there was a tank shortage before. There always has been, right? Tanks, right. And then after tanks, it's healers. And then I think some of that came to there was only so many tanks you needed in a raid. But I think now having people be able to, you know, easily go back and forth between, you know, still being able to PvP and not a tank spec, and their gear kind of transitioning pretty seamlessly for a rogue, I think. I don't know, like, gear-wise, what difference you would have.
So, yeah, it is just, like, when I say I think people are scared, I mean, I think they're scared to, like, take the blame. They're scared to, you know, as Go says, the tank controls the pace, controls the, like, how everything works. Like, so basically, a DPS follows the boss around in a lot of situations, won't even have to know a lot of the mechanics a lot of times, whereas healers and tanks have, like, they have to know more about the fight mechanics than DPS does generally, because they have to know, healers have to know when a big, you know, amount of damage is going to come in. They need to heal. A DPS doesn't even notice they got healed half the time, right? And then, like, you know, tank has to move everything and do all of the stuff. So it just, I think it's like a little overwhelming for people. And I know it was for me until I tanked a lot in Wrath. And then once you try tanking and you get, like, fairly good at it or okay at it, in my case, you just prefer to do it from somebody saying, well, I guess I can tank. You're like, fuck that. No, true. I'll just tank. I'll just tank. We're good. You know, because
blessing and the curse of having more perspectives on the game is, like, it's frustrating to do a damage or to do a role that relies on somebody else doing their job correctly and they're not doing it correctly, and you know that you could do it right now better, but you don't feel like it. Like, it's the classic conundrum.
Yep. So I don't know. All right, well, let's move on to the new reward changes for the Waylaid supplies. We talked a little bit about it at the start. I made some good gold today. I think it's a good thing. Why they took so long to do it, I don't know. I don't know where you guys want to start, but I kind of want to talk about the heirlooms too. Anybody want to jump in?
I logged in and got the news from the guild chat, which is where apparently all news comes from now.
Dude, it's a great guild chat, isn't it?
Great guild chat, but I went into a fit of rage and started like ranting because I thought the heirlooms scaled. I thought they were like scaling items. And I was just like, this is defeating the purpose of the game. And
that's
like,
what I
you're
thought
supposed to get
too.
new items.
I was
so
scared.
mad for like 20 minutes. And then someone was like, no, they're just like they're just items you can have at level 1. And so I don't know. I was so mad and then I was pretty like happy. So it was a weird roller coaster.
Yeah, dude. When I saw it when Sarth tweeted it out, and I was like, wait, heirlooms? Question mark? I was like thinking to myself, God, please, no, God, no, please, no, God. But yeah, it turned out to be just like kind of little rinky-dink items to start an alt. Like, you know, maybe you want to change servers, you can send it over to a different server. Like that part's kind of cool. You know, and so I like that. I do not want heirlooms at all, though, and so I was just like you, Jerome, scared.
All it ends
The
up being though is
bag?
like now you can get an agility item when you get to Razor Hill instead of when you get to the Centaur quest and the Barrens. That's all that means.
Yeah.
You get a ring 10 levels earlier than you otherwise would, pretty much.
But the 16 slot bag, ooh.
The bag
Yeah,
is
I mean,
nice.
if we could have
That's
just
nice,
gotten
yeah.
more bags, I feel like I would have been totally fine with that. Like if I can give my level 1 a couple 16 slot bags, I am solid on that.
That'd be OP.
I'm not complaining about that at all. I don't even have 16 slot bags on my current character.
Well, we kind of talked about it prior, but this is good for the economy, I think. I think it's going to shake out into other ways to make gold with your extra materials, depending on what professions you have. Like, I think this will be cool. The gathering professions are still kind of screwed. But
Yeah,
what
I
do you
thought
do?
they said they were going to do something more for the gathering professions.
I say we just do my idea. Like, they're no longer a profession. You can have every character could have one gathering profession, and bada bing, bada boom, we're good. You have 2 actual professions, and everybody's happy.
I like that idea.
You know what? Now that you're saying it, let's just all have gathering professions. Why not get every single one? Like, what's the downside of that?
If
You
could
can
have
only track one on your mini map. You know.
Okay,
with
well,
the-
there's a weak card. You're right. That might be the impossible hurdle to
Kills
get
it.
past.
kills it. Yep.
I don't know. I feel like you could even have disenchanting be a gathering profession. Not enchanting, disenchanting.
No, don't give disenchanting to everybody that isn't an enchanter that like
You
kills.
want to know a secret? You can mail your items to your alt and disenchant them.
Yep, long as they're level 5. Yep. Only in vanilla. That changes in TBC. But yeah. But I mean, I just thought it would be funny. Like, because there's soulbound stuff you can't get. You know, you can't send to your alts.
Oh, I agree. I don't know why we have to mail them to an alt.
I don't know why I can't instantly mail things to my alt. That's really my annoyance right now.
That should
Because
have
I
been
had
the revered reward for supply.
Oh my god,
I
I'd
had
be rushing
gold
it.
on my other characters, but I couldn't give it to my alt because it takes an hour, and I didn't have an hour before raid because I'm not prepared like that. You know.
Wow, the ultimate gold sink, instant mail.
Can you imagine, dude?
Yeah, that was.
How
How much
much
you want
would you?
it, 10K?
How much would you pay for instant mail? Leave a comment in the YouTube
I would
comments.
pay 1 hour of my time.
Oh man,
Mhm.
that's so good. That is annoying. It is very annoying. And I'm afraid to trade gold across my 2 different accounts now. Like, so I'm like, well, I'll just make more gold on this account instead of trading from the other account that has gold. Oh my
I just
god.
leave everything in my bail box so that I can return it instantly because
Yep,
you can
that's the
return
best.
instantly.
Space hack.
Yeah.
So
That's,
now
that's the
I
best
don't have
one.
everything's just in my mailbox on all my characters.
Same. It's gonna be a problem actually.
Oh
Yeah, I
man.
I think like there is on a slightly more serious note. I think there's like a side implication of this bind on account stuff being added to the supply vendors. there was a lot of people who were talking about how some of the more difficult to acquire runes, the ones that have like a much more involved acquisition process, like for example, the warrior rune that has you go into 2 dungeons and then the elite area in Red Ridge. That area, it kind of, you being able to get that rune means you either need help from friends or you need other people who are in the area to group up with you to do it. And for Horde players trying to go into that Red Ridge area, there's nothing for Horde there. There's no quest there. So you have to bring somebody with you or get help from friends or whatever. Like, you're not going to naturally just find groups in Red Ridge to go do that because there's no quest for Horde to do that. So for runes like that, people were asking for like an option through the supply and logistics vendors to buy those runes from your main and like a BOA version of it or whatever and send it to alt and stuff like that. So this is like a stepping stone towards that. They've proven now, this is like the case in point that they are able to add bind on account stuff to the game. So the only thing stopping them from doing the runes thing now is whether or not they want to.
I like Scotty J's one way more. Yeah. Do you want to tell everybody what that was, Hammer?
Yes. So basically, he was saying that to leave the runes right in the game as they are, like you were just saying, table the like the warrior rune where you'd have to go into SFK, and I forget the other dungeon, and then go to Red Ridge. Like, leave that as it is, right? So if you want to go do that whole experience with friends or with guildies, whatever, you can. But then also add the runes as like a purchasable item or token from the Waylaid Supplies vendor with level locks on each one behind a rep wall. And I thought that was a great idea because it doesn't take anything away, right? Like, if you want to go get Star Surge at level 1 or whatever and have fun with that, you can. But if you're playing completely solo, you can also still have access to every single one of the previous phases runes without having to, like what you said, like, that's got to be horrible to try and go do that right now, like,
Yeah.
And I think that was a really good idea when he said it. I was like, wow, that should
I liked
actually
it a
be how
lot
is.
because I don't like sending my alts a bunch of runes, and having them have every rune from level 1. Yeah, it sounds cool, but I think it would take a lot away from it. I really do.
Listen, nothing was cooler than having Star Surge at level 1. I'm just going to throw that
Was the
out
best.
there.
Yeah.
Nothing was cooler than that.
Just one shot.
Which you can still do, but you have to get
Granted-
friends to do it in an MMO.
Granted, you got to level 2 by the time you got to the Star Surge rune, so you didn't really have it at level 1, but that's fine.
I mean, unless your friends were really cool and summoned you there.
I don't want to get off
Or
topic,
if you
but
were
it's
Alliance. Sorry, Jerome, go ahead.
definitely like one of the biggest flaws of the game is the new player experience, getting all 18 of those runes, where most of us, we had groups to get a lot of the early runes. Those groups are all gone. There's no more summons, and I get that's kind of like a high level thing to get summoned to runes, but something like the Grisby rune where you have to get the turbo auto charges or whatever, that costs you like 20 gold right now. And how many new players have 20 gold for that? And that's not really the best rune, but still.
Yeah. I
And those
do
are
like.
gonna keep
I
going
I think
up
the
too.
level gate makes that work though, right? Like, I think you have to have a level gate on when you can buy those runes. And I think if the rune was intended for you to have it at level 15 or 20, like, that's what level you can buy it at, or you can go get it early the way that it's,
Well, okay, how about this? Maybe this is even better combination of Table and Scotty's idea. You don't have to work up logistics on every character. You work it up on your main, then you're able to buy the rune on your main, send it to your alt, but it still is level gated.
That
It
could
could be a
work
good
too.
compromise.
Yeah.
I like
I
that.
don't see why that wouldn't work either.
Blizzard,
But
you can
something
have that for
definitely
free.
needs to be done because that's not
No
that's not
cap,
really
Jerome.
fun gameplay right now.
Yeah,
have
like
to
they
go
talk
do
about
that.
friction a lot, but like that's a little bit excessive. Like that goes from friction to being like borderline not
Golf.
even feasible.
Yeah, you should just call
Well-
it golf because golf should have been named fuck.
well, I think what you have to really look at is the
That's
whole
good.
mentality behind, SOD is that it's accessible and that people don't feel left behind and that people can join at any time, right?
Mhm.
And right now, that's still kind of the case right now, but it's getting further and further away from the case, right? With all these runes that you have to have, like, you can't just join right now, find a group of people like-minded to play with if you don't already have those people, right? Like, somebody could come join that I'm friends with, and we have like a group of friends that would help them get all of those things, right? But it's not really going to entice somebody who is maybe in retail right now, or somebody who's just heard of it and is like, oh, this could be kind of fun to come in. They're just going to be like, oh, well, I don't have any way to get this stuff. And then, they're going to get a pug out of trade chat and, uninstall the game right away after that whole fiasco happens. But I don't know. I think to make it more accessible going forward, I feel like they have to do something.
I'm going to channel my inner Classic Go. This is not what I want, but Classic Go would definitely say this if he were here. Coming soon to a WoW shop near you. Level 25 boost with all runes included. Only $49.99.
Well,
The rune package would
Don't
cost
put it
more,
past
right?
him. Oh, yeah, the rune. Yeah. You could have an extra rune package. Yep. I don't know, man.
yeah, $49.99 for the boost, $29.99 for all your runes included.
I'd probably pay it.
I probably would
I don't even
too.
have all my runes.
I
on
would
all
really
my
love to have a
characters.
priest right now. Want to get Shadow. But I don't want to work up from one. I already have 3 characters.
Dude, they've already increased the leveling speed. Come on.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. Like, a lot of people trying to level are like, this sucks. There's nobody anywhere. Like, like.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's actually a very different experience. You're completely solo for the first like 20 levels. I didn't see a single person
Yeah.
Really?
because there's a lot of layers and there's no one leveling. So yeah,
Yeah, it feels like the mid levels in hardcore.
it's amazing.
don't-
It's like I've
don't
never
worry.
experienced that because I'm always dead by then in hardcore. So
Don't worry, they fixed the layering. They just really effed up STV. So now you feel like you're around other people everywhere else.
that's good.
All right. Well,
Thank God.
I hope they continue to do stuff with the Waylaid supplies. I would love to see some catch up mechanics for people, because if I have people still like planning to come to the game, they just like they're going to have a lot of free time soon, but they didn't before, So
It's definitely an
hoping.
interesting opportunity for them to like that. Like the Waylaid Supplies thing is like a pretty good like
Way to do
excuse.
it.
Yeah, it's kind of like how they like the catch-all thing for retail is Chromie. Like, oh, okay, we need to go do this thing. Okay, Chromie let us do it. Cool. Now we can go back in time and do whatever. Like that's kind of their catch-all for that. Waylaid Supplies is like, I mean, it's not a one-to-one comparison, but like fills a similar role where like they need something to happen. They need to add something to the game. Cool. It's from the Waylaid Supplies vendor.
They could use it for anything, really.
Yeah, it's a very pliable thing they could use. But guys, let's move on to
Bobby, we need to have a talk about this World of Warcraft Classic. Do I look like I know what a WoW token is?
all right. So Blizzard wants feedback on layers and STV. Guys, where do we begin? STV was a glorious thing last week. I had so much fun. I had one 1,400 coin run, which was epic. Shout outs to, Wavy and Move for just taking me on that run. It was glorious. And then, we're having so much fun, killing people all over the place, just making coins. Oh, it was great. And then the weekend came. People, I don't know, it seemed to come right as when people complained about the world feeling dead, and they made another change to layers. And all of a sudden, STV is unplayable. Literally, we went and tried every one on Saturday. Every single one. Every single one. And I'm not kidding you. 30-second delays on moves.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it's 15 seconds, but still, like it's about the time it takes to get one buff in the sleeping bag before you could actually traverse any map. It was so frustrating. Like, we had a group of friends who was having a great time. We went, and all of a sudden we were like bickering and like not having a good time at all because of this fucking lag. Like, what is going on? What is your guys' experience?
So remember last weekend when I was on the show,
Yep.
Bob, and I was like, oh yeah, for some reason I loved STV in the beginning, but now I can't play it and it was laggy. What it was like for me then is exactly how it is now for everybody. I could not, I tried for 3 days straight and it was like you just said, the most frustrating experience. Makes you angry. You're like arguing with people, and you're like, "What is going on? Why am I even here?" You just hearth out. I'm like, I'm done.
Right.
I'm not even.
Yeah,
not
and
even
you don't
bothered
want
with
to
this.
you don't want to leave your group because that fucks the whole group, right? But you're like, guys, can we
Yeah.
leave? I need to leave or I'm going to blow a gasket. You know,
So you're like,
it's
you don't want to leave your
infuriating.
group, but
It's
really,
infuriating.
what are you doing for your group? Because I'm sitting there and I'm like, I healed you. I
Yeah.
think
I guess
I
as a
healed
warrior, I'm
you.
just a target dummy for them, so it works out. But yeah,
Well-
and it's a shame because when it works, it is the most fun,
So fun.
thing. in
so
the world.
fun. Oh my God,
man.
so
We
fun.
have like the music bot in Discord, and we just like put on some
Mm.
tunes, and we just start killing, and it's a blast.
Yeah,
But
and you're
I
dying a
wish it
ton.
would just work.
But you're killing a
Yeah.
ton. Like, it's so fun. It's fast paced. It's like boom, 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 boom. I mean, Jerome's going to be over here. Guys, hold my beer. I got my mount a week ago.
Dude, it has been so much fun. But then you get in the wrong group where you have two people in the wrong layer. It's a nightmare. And the worst thing is trying to get the Garabashi chest, and people join your group, and then that layers other people away. It's very frustrating.
Have you done it? Did you do it this weekend?
Yeah. I almost think that you shouldn't do peak hour weekends anymore. I don't think
Yeah,
they
but-
can fix the problem. I don't blame Blizzard, but I think we just play
We
in the
did
morning or
off-peak
play in the
hours, though.
afternoon.
We did off
I
peak.
don't know.
Like, it was working for everything except for the 6 o'clock hour one. The 6 o'clock hour one was
Yeah, that's
pretty laggy, but we could still get some stuff done. Like, we still would have a 400 coin run. It was literally, we couldn't move. Like, I mean, it was absurd.
It's bad.
Yeah, I mean, although we did play with iPlay, who said that he joined one and he's a boomy, and he was like, and I just stood like back behind this like hill, and I was able to like starfire and moonfire people, and I couldn't tell where it was coming from, and I was just getting kills, and everybody else is lagging out, and he's just like, whatever, I don't know when it's hitting, but it's hitting people and it's killing people.
The forest is attacking me.
Yeah, I was like, oh, come on.
Yeah, it went from like a little laggy to like a slideshow, and it's not, that's not fun.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel, there's absolutely nothing that feels good about it. Like, you don't feel like you have any control over what's happening to you. Like, I'm pretty sure like I see this like little bzzoop, and then I'm dead and I don't even know what happened. I thought I healed, but I didn't even know I was being attacked at that point to heal.
Yeah, like you hear the cheap shot noise, and you hear the sound of poisons being applied to you, and
Like,
then
huh.
12 seconds later, you finally see the debuffs, and you're dead.
If you go back to our interview with the Blizzard devs, like right prior, just, it came out a few hours before SOD hit. I asked him in the interview, so are you guys, because this was Ashenvale, I was like, so are you guys gonna like basically instance this, right? Like, you're gonna get a certain amount of people in one and then open up a new instance, and it's gonna be instance like a BG, right? And they were like, no, it's gonna be open world. I just, I couldn't be rude to him while I was interviewing him, but I thought to myself, whoops. Like, I mean, it's just like, I don't get it. Like, I don't get how you're gonna ever fix it. And it sucks
just
because
don't-
I had a short time of loving it.
Yeah, they did have it fixed. That's what I don't know, is like what was making it run well that now is no longer.
I
allowing
believe
to
it was
run
the
well.
change. They made the change to make the layers more layers, right? So they didn't collapse down on each other as much. But
Right.
then people bitched about org and different cities looking not populated. And so they reverted something back or made a change. But it's
Can't you just have certain layers in different? Like, I feel like there's certain zones you could have more layers in than other zones. I didn't know that it was
That's
worldwide.
Pretty good blog posts about this, and it's very complicated.
Oh, I'm
and
sure. Yeah.
It does seem like it. Yeah, I don't think they can just have STV be like a billion layers.
Yeah, that's
And
why I thought
it
they would
does seem
instance it.
every tweet to Grand is like, "Oh, Orgrimmar feels dead." So I blame whoever is saying that, because I don't care if Orgrimmar feels dead.
Same. I know the game's
I don't know who
populated.
does, but-
Yeah, like what?
I don't
are we
mind
walking
walking
around
around
talking to
Orgrimmar.
those people? Like, are we hanging out? Are we having
No.
little dance parties? I mean,
My advice to you is next time you're in Orgrimmar and there's nobody else there, you just, get in your birthday suit and you walk around like, hey, look at this. I can walk around however I want to because nobody's looking at me, right? Like, come on.
No, you just be an angry man. You kind of be like, you young whippersnappers, get off my lair.
Get off my lair. Oh my god. It's just close enough to lawn.
Dad joke full today.
Right.
Dad joke full today.
Oh god.
I feel like it seems like something that it's a problem they don't quite have the tech to fix quite yet. Like the idea, like to us who don't probably know as much about coding and stuff as the devs do,
Sure.
like it seems like an obvious solution. Okay, well, yeah, give STV more layers and then don't do that to everywhere else. Like that, they probably would love to do that. They probably just can't. So like, I would imagine that there's no way that they haven't heard all this feedback. Like there's so many people that have been saying the exact same thing to do. Like, okay, well, do this to STV, but not other places. They're probably working on tech to allow them to do that. Who knows how long it'll be ready before it's ready, but like it seems like a pretty logical thing that's what they would want to do. They probably just can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean these are like, I know probably more about the process than a lot, but like I don't know anything about coding. I know a ton about virtual servers. It's what I did. Like I was a systems engineer and network engineer, and like there's all kinds of other problems that come in, like those layers that open up, like that's all on different servers and stuff. You're moving different things to different servers. Like I mean, it is a process. Then you've got databases connected to these at the same time. They're separate. I mean, it's a big old thing for them to try and work out. But all I know is that they had it going, and I kind of want to just go back to that because I was having a really good time with STV, guys.
Yep. I agree.
Everybody on the same page?
I have one more thing to say, which is that unfortunately the mode is just going to get worse and worse as more people hit 40. So I hate to say it, but you might have had your fun because not a lot of people are 40.
That was it. Okay,
And
thank you for bringing that up.
It's just it can't get better from here.
I've wondered about that too, because there's been a lot of people, talking about like, oh, well, it's this, and this, but it could just be exactly what you're saying, Jerome. Like just that, like one of our buddies who plays a lot just hit 40, like, and he plays a lot, like compared to like a normal person. Like he plays at least 10 to 15 hours a week, which I would consider to be more of a normal process rather than the way we play, right? Or even, I mean, I don't even think Hammer plays like me and Table and Jerome do, right? So
I go like 4 hours a night usually, unless I don't have to watch my son. If I don't, then I'm on during the day. But generally, I do like 4 hours a night, like 6 days a week.
Yeah, so a lot of people are just now getting to cap. I think Jerome might have hit on actually what the problem is. I don't know though.
Ghost said something interesting in chat too. It probably affects error servers too. Like all the layering tech that we've been using, like all the tech we've been using has been based.
It's all interconnected
on Era. Yeah,
it is.
So
yeah.
they have to be very careful about what they do with layers on SOD so that it doesn't screw anything up on Era either. So that's definitely something else to consider too. Like it's definitely
the hardcore servers are in that group too.
Yeah. And dude, with
fuck over hardcore servers, Jesus Christ, like that's a whole
coming out this week. Like that's gonna be they got to be real careful about what they do, because if they do anything with layers at all this week in particular, because of self-found, it could kill self-found. So they have to be super careful about the way they can implement any of this stuff.
Great point. Yeah, because our like lag fest we had the other night in your first Gnomer, like that would have been catastrophic for hardcore.
Oh yeah, big time. I'm surprised we even cleared with that lag that we were having. I think we killed the boss with like 2 people still DC'd.
It's because we badass, man. Because we badass.
Yeah, but what was that? We didn't even talk about that. Like the
I don't
lag
think.
and Gnomer?
Yeah, I don't think that was actually Blizzard though. Like I was that was a bad example because it was happening to half the people. I think that was an ISP problem, and the very next day, AT&T had another outage. Like I think that was an ISP problem, and just certain people in certain regions and certain ISPs were affected. And guys, just to let you know how this works, if AT&T goes down or any of them go down that are a big one, you have to understand that they also host routers for other companies. Like they just pay a tax to go through that router. So it could fuck with you even though you're on Google or you're on this. So it's not a straight up AT&T's having a problem. If AT&T's having a problem, there's problems with a lot of different ISPs across the board.
It's not a specific company. It's an infrastructure problem.
Yep.
Well, and it wasn't necessarily lag. It was just like DCs, like constant DCs, and then not being able to log back in. And then
There was some DDoS stuff going on that day, so it might have just been a DDoS issue.
Yeah, I just don't think it was a DDoS on Blizzard.
Internet. I was on hotel internet out of town, and I thought that it was just me, right? Because whenever I'm on hotel internet, there's always like there's a chance it's not going to go great. And I was like, oh man. Then everybody else kept DCing, and I was like, oh, okay. It's not just me. I'm not the one ruining the raid. That's fine. Everybody
It's
DCs.
just a good thing that neither of us were DC'd at the same time, because then everybody would just died.
Yeah.
We were like taking turns solo healing.
I know.
We did great.
Yeah,
We did great.
out of mana.
It was awesome. Okay, so question. I've been hearing a lot of people already asking for phase 3, Scotty J being one of the biggest culprits. But what do you guys, I'll give you my thoughts first. And if you don't agree with me, tell me to fuck you, Bob. I don't like that. I'm fine with that. But I feel like it should be a couple 2 to 4 weeks longer than phase 1. And I think the phases should get longer each time. But I don't know. From the vocal majority, it seems like that's not the opinion of most. But I still feel like there's a shit ton for me to do. And I'm nowhere close to having anything even close to done. What do you guys feel? Like, do you feel it should be shorter or longer? Who wants to go in first?
I think this, it really depends on, like, it's like a player by player basis, in my opinion, right? Like if you have a bunch of stuff left to do, there's other people, in my opinion, that they love just raid logging, right? So to them, this is going to get played out super quick, right? That happened to a lot of people in phase 1. Whereas me, I had a blast. I was a little sick of BFD towards the end, but I leveled a bunch of alts and stuff, and I, like I said before, never missed a single lockout on my warriors. But
do you think the beauty
I really think
of BFD though is because it was so short? Like once you're busting through it, it doesn't feel as horrible as running, ICC did towards the end, right? Okay, but sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think your opinion of it being a little longer, it makes sense due to, us being higher level, this and that. But in terms of content, right, I don't think that there would, in my opinion, I don't think there's enough content for it to be longer. And that may be crazy to say, but I don't think it's enough content for it to be longer, simply because there's going to be a lot less alt play for a lot of people, right? Like there's going to be people out there who like getting to level 40 is like pretty daunting, for a good majority of the player base. So there's going to be a lot less alt play. But on the other hand, having it be a longer phase, would those people enjoy that more? Maybe they would, because maybe they get into Gnomer, a week from now, their first time is in Gnomer, right? So they may get more enjoyment out of it being longer. But it's such a hard question, in my opinion, because everyone has a different view on it. Like me, I'm indifferent. I'm going to enjoy it however long it is, and I will level a bunch of alts. Maybe I'll get a little bored towards the end, but I'll still play. But if it was the same amount of time or quicker, I wouldn't mind that either, to be honest.
See, I guess I'm like, maybe if you didn't like PvP, I guess it would kind of suck. But like PvP takes a lot of time and is a lot of fun. Like, a true Arathi Basin game, if you're not like stomping in a pre-made over a non-pre-made, like those are 7-minute games. But a true Arathi Basin is generally about a half an hour, and like that's a lot of game time. It's a lot of fun. I want to do it with multiple characters. I want to maybe like work on a little bit of, my rep from the stuff Jerome's been doing up in Fellwood and like,
Oh yeah.
like, and maybe I want to do, like, there's so much stuff to do. It's just not like laid out for you. It's the old stuff that we did before, guys. There's a lot of cool things to do with the new abilities. And I just feel like, I don't know. I feel like this it's just begun. And like, I'm sorry, I don't agree with anybody that thinks BFD is better than Gnomer. I think Gnomer is fucking awesome. And I hate Gnomer as a dungeon. So
I agree.
People are saying BFD was better. Sorry, Mel.
a lot of people, I've heard a lot of people. I have no idea what the big population feels, but there's a lot of people who haven't even done their first Gnomer.
Yeah. I think that's what we have to keep in mind, right? Like, I think we're too quick to want to rush through things and then want them back, right?
Yeah, we'll never get this back. We'll never get the level 40 meta back.
Yeah.
And I think, well, I mean, we might differently in another season.
Some other time, yeah.
But I think, sure, we can go through all of the raids, all of the dungeons, all of the stuff that we need to do by, 3 weeks in. But if we rush to the next phase, one, that holds back the players that I'm sure there will be players that don't get to level 40 for another couple weeks. And then they've got a couple weeks to run Gnomer. And if they're getting to 40 when it's progressing to 50, they're not going to keep playing. They're not going to want to keep playing. They're not going to stay. Like, we have to make this more accessible. And then the people that play a lot and the people that want to do other things, I think you have to find other ways to enjoy the game. And I think that that's fine. And if you want a raid log, that's fine. There's a lot of different versions of the game that you can play. There's other games, God forbid, that you go dabble into as well, right?
Exactly. Like, Final Fantasy VII comes out tomorrow. Oh, sorry.
So we know why Bob wants the phase to be a little bit longer. But yeah, I think we should enjoy this time and enjoy the open world and like what it has to offer us and kind of figure out, like, we really enjoyed pre-questing at the end of phase 1 because there wasn't a ton left for us to do.
Pre-questing was so fun, right?
Pre-quest with some of our friends, and like that gave us enjoyment for the
even
end of phase
Jerome
1.
had enjoyment from it.
I don't understand how Bob had so much fun with pre-questing.
You had fun that night, though, didn't you?
I had fun.
You had a good time.
You were so into pre-questing. I couldn't even believe how much fun you were having.
Well, I think because it was like 5 of us, and we were like all 5 friends, and it's like we hadn't hung out.
And
like,
get to hang with No Hit Jerome.
Where he's happier, where he's like with a lot of people. Like he's like a group person.
Yes, I know.
I'm more of like the Netflix guy in the dark room.
Yeah,
what a weird
me too. And I'm married to him.
We forced you to come out.
Yeah,
we forced you to come out that night, and you had a good time, regardless when you thought you weren't.
Yeah, there are times after work where Bob will be like, "Hey, come join Discord," and I'm like, "I cannot talk to 7 people right now. I'm like, I need to just like chill and do my own thing."
Jerome memes on people so hard, though. He's so much fun to hang out with in Discord. Somebody will say something awkward in like one of our pre-made groups, and Jerome just memes on them without them even knowing he's memeing on them. It's so good.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, and then he does it to me, and I pretend that I don't know because it's funny.
I feel like I haven't answered this question, and I kind of it's been going on for a little bit. And you guys are asking if the phase is too long, right?
Do you want it longer or shorter than phase 1?
Okay, it's got to be way shorter. This game is it's like the Meeseeks and Rick and Morty, right? It's just like it's going to get weird if they're alive too long. So we've got to. I think it's got to be a 2-month phase. It's got to be it. That would be what?
I think that would be.
I think the majority of people agree with you, and I'm just like
not mid-March,
the outlier.
When did it come out? When did phase 2 start?
8th.
I actually don't even remember.
The 8th.
I've been playing it the whole time.
Yeah, it was the 8th.
Literally, like 2 weeks and 3 days ago.
So it'll be April 4th is when you're saying it should move to phase 3. And if you think about people that just got to 40, that gives them 4 or 5 weeks, right? Or people that are just getting to 40 right now, that gives them 4 to 5 weeks. I don't know. I think 10 weeks is fine.
I would say the average person still isn't 40. I know that's like pretty crazy sounding, or at least just hit 40.
I don't think they are either. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So like, we need them to get to 40 and then still feel like there's something left to do before we move to the next phase.
Well, and see, everybody in chat is agreeing with you, right? But everybody that's watching this right now in chat is not the normal player. You guys are searching for info and engagement above and beyond what the normal player doesn't even know what Warcraft Reloaded is, doesn't know who Scotty J is, doesn't know who Jerome is, doesn't know who Hammer or Table is.
That's weird. They do know Hammer Dance there because they all Googled OBS.
They all know Asmongold. I'll say that. But like the whole point is that like the majority of people aren't killing this like we are. And if we go too fast, I feel like we leave them behind. And that sucks. But Jerome seems to be on the side that everybody else is, and I'm not. And Hammer seems to be on the side too. What about you, Table?
I'm kind of ambivalent, to be totally honest. Like whatever time frame they give us, I will just adapt to. Like if it ends up being longer, then maybe I'll work up another character, or I'll do some like pre-grinding for like profession stuff so that I can like bang out the professions ASAP. Because I did not do that for phase 2 launch. Like I didn't pre-grind any profession materials to like level professions quickly.
Which fucked us. Yep. Jerome did and made a bank off of it.
So like if there's enough extra time,
lost all their money.
Yeah, the stonks are bad. So if they give us long enough for me to grind stuff, but not long enough to level another character, then I'll just grind stuff. If they give us long enough for me to level another character, maybe I'll level another character and try to do both at the same time. Like, I don't know. Like there's still like my Shaman just hit 35 today. I want to get him to 40 and do a little bit of raiding. Got that Staff of Jordan equipped, lol. And I gotta level my second Druid. And then I kind of want to level a third Druid to be just a farm tune, like actually just a farm tune. But
yeah, because you can't farm on the other two. That makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Well, the Shaman is skinning and mining right now. He's like, I'm gonna like farm all the stuff to get like 2 sets of leatherworking and 2 sets of engineering up to 225. And then after that, I'll need another character to be my skinner and miner. So that's where the third Druid comes in. But I mean, like it all depends. Like I will, whatever they decide to do for time wise, I'll just adapt whatever my plans are around that. Like I don't have any set plans for specific things that I want to achieve by the end of the phase. I'm kind of waiting to see what the timetable looks like, and then I'll figure it out after they announce something.
Yeah, and they did give us the announcement.
I leveled my professions completely. Like I still got to do that. Like you guys, I'm more sweaty than a lot of people, maybe, but like I have limited time, and like I don't have time to do all this stuff. Like there's still so much that I need to do. I haven't even done my quest for the recipes and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, you know what it is? I feel like there's like a sweet spot of time when these phases should end and the next one should come, right? There's like, because if it goes too long, it breeds a lot of like negativity, and people like, oh, I'm done with that. I'm not even going back next phase. It's so boring, takes forever, blah, blah, blah. And like, there's got to be like this sweet spot. And like, it might be like what Mel said, like 10 weeks, right? Because that gives like super casual players enough time to hit the cap and like experience the end game for, a few weeks, 4 weeks even. And then, the super sweaty people will have a million alts, right? They'll do everything, complain a little bit towards the end that it's getting boring, but
Naturally.
It won't be like this like long drawn out thing. Like imagine if it was longer than phase 1. Like to me, I feel like that would almost do more harm than good.
So Classic Go on the latest Cubicle Chat, it's Classic Go and Scotty J's podcast. You can check it out on Scotty J's channel. If you just check live streams, it's not going to be in the normal video section. You're going to have to check live stream. But they talked about it on that, and Go had an idea about mid phases opening new gear, opening new things to get. Kind of like the way a seasonal thing would do. Like, we just kind of get lucky, and sometimes things drop. Like we had the 1E event drop. We found out we could get the slow fall beer, and everybody was doing that. Like those little things could be kind of neat for middle of the phase for people that are just kind of like raid logging. Like all of a sudden they have a reason to come back. I still think there's a shit ton of stuff to do in the game. You guys just have to know where to find it. But this could be cool for the raid logger types and the ones that want something new. At the time, I was thinking, Go, you're crazy. But now I'm thinking,
I mean,
maybe it's a good idea.
Even if they had done like the recipes didn't come out until like 4 weeks into the season or the phase, right? Like something like that. But I also think, do you guys think that the 3-day lockouts is increasing the burnout of the phases?
No, because we didn't have a 3-day lockout. Like I could maybe say that, but we didn't have I think the lack of 3-day lockout might be what what everybody's pissed off about. And everybody's going to feel different here in the next week because we just got into our actual 3-day lockouts. I don't know.
It might have contributed towards burnout in phase 1. I think
Like towards the end, yeah.
Yeah, because like if you know, like Hammer, you're talking about running it every time, and you know, like you run that many of them, and the one thing you're after keeps not dropping, like it just grates at you.
Yeah.
Like
you don't need anything right now anymore. So like the dopamine of like getting upgrades is gone. Like all that's left is like trying to like speed clear with your group and stuff like that. Your parses are already locked in pretty much for the whole phase at that point. Like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it becomes extremely tedious, but not that it's not fun. I still enjoyed it every time, but
I guess
I don't know.
When you're after that one piece and it doesn't drop, when it finally does, you're not excited anymore. You're relieved that it's over. Like,
finally.
Well, and also you make a good point about parses. Unless you're in a guild that's specifically building for parses and doing specific strats for parses, midway through phase, your chance to parse is gone, completely gone. Unless you really search out some sweaty ass mofos, right? Like you're just not going to parse. Your chance to parse is early on with some luck getting gear. And that's just unfortunately the truth of it because of the way people cheese Warcraft logs, you know, like.
Yeah, if you look at the healing parses, which I know are a meme, the viscous fallout damage taken for the number 1 healer is like 1400 DPS. And if you do it with a normal group, you take like 300 damage per second.
So
it's like
purposely taking damage so that the healers can juice up.
And they just do that on every fight.
Yeah.
But the first week, no one does that because you have to actually kill the boss.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
we do healer parses is like how many people died that didn't stand in stupid shit.
I would love that. What I mean? But the pug groups I'm with would not perform well on that metric, so maybe let's hold off a little bit. Maybe once we're back raiding with Bob again.
Well, and the sad part,
I said how many people would die without standing in stupid shit. Like it gets voided if they stood in.
Oh, so if they die from their own mistake, it doesn't count.
Yeah, it doesn't count against us.
I love how Jerome was like, Bob, because we raided almost all of phase 1 together.
Yeah, and Bob never died somehow. He was one of those like very safe raiders.
He's like, how do you never die? I was like, because I don't fucking stand in shit, and I take all the consumes that give me more health. And
his wife's a healer.
Yeah, I've been a healer, and like I don't know. I guess the very end of Wrath trained me mechanics over parse.
Yeah, a lot.
So I mean, in Wrath, I don't die either. Like I just like, and it's better for the group if I don't die. Like if I pump, and then I die halfway through, I've done like a fraction. Like I'm going to parse a 15 if I die halfway through. So. What's it matter? Like, so I don't know. Mm-hmm. I'm always about doing mechanics now, which has helped me here in Season of Discovery because I wasn't that way for a long time. But yeah, I thought it was funny. You gotta know what the
mechanics are so you can ignore them. Hey, Juggler Ross is in chat. We listened to the voicemail earlier.
Yep. All right. The very last thing, because we are ending this in a few minutes, but I wanted to talk about Arathi Basin. And they made the change to where pre-maze fight pre-maze. I'm interested if Jerome's done any pre-maze in Arathi Basin also, but I've been doing either anywhere from solo to 5-man stuff. And I have just been losing my mind with the 2 to 5 AFKers in every Arathi Basin. And it makes me want to shoot some,
I'm
not
so
shoot
glad
anybody.
You're saying this because I've been like, actually, like, I really try to like not rage. I've been straight up raging when I play AB. Like, I will slam things. I will say bad things about people. It's really toxic.
But they'll sit there for an entire game, have 3 kills, no killing blows, and no deaths. And I'm like, okay, dude, you weren't participating.
But here's the worst part. You're telling them what to do. You're telling them where to go. And then that guy will actively be like, hey, mute this guy. Hey, everyone report this guy. They're actually playing. They're just, they don't want to win.
They're just not playing the same game we are.
Not to mention the guy who goes mine when you're like, please don't go mine. Please don't go mine. And there's like 4 people go mine. You lose BS horribly. You never get it back. The whole game is scuffed. I'm just reliving this every game.
Dude, and
everybody wants to do their own thing. And it's like, all right, we're all going to go blacksmith. And then 3 people go to mine, 2 people go to lumber mill, and you're
Somebody's
like,
at stables for some reason.
okay.
Jerome,
Yeah.
did you see the tweet that they put out prior to phase 2 coming out, where they're like, like World of Warcraft put out a thing saying, where do you go first in Arathi Basin? The majority of people said lumber mill.
Well, that's Alliance too. Like, don't Alliance love LM? I'm not an Alliance main, but
No,
I feel like they
if
always
you want to
win
win, I played Alliance all the way through Wrath. Every AB in TBC, vanilla, and anytime you were in a good group that knew what they were doing, you went blacksmith first. It's
That's
the
true,
central
but
node. Like, you
here's the
can
thing,
get
it's
to all of
real-
them faster.
In their defense, it's really fun to like win a 3v3 at LM. Like, that's really fun.
True.
It may not
And then
be like
slow
the-
fall, and then slow fall down to blacksmith.
Oh my
'cause that's
God.
really fun
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Or use your
That is
festive
that
bug.
is very
Now, by the
fun.
time you do that, you've already lost BS and your team is giving up. But still,
And you die. You die when you slow fall down
Yeah,
to
you
blacksmith.
just
But
die
you
as
had a
you-
good
as you
ride.
land.
You had a good ride on the way down.
It takes you
know?
enough time to slow fall to be able to hum the entire Mission Impossible theme song.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, although I have found using our mug of beer, Jerome, I have to pop sprint and then use it and jump off to make it to
no, it's
blacksmith.
called mounting. You just mount.
No, you mount.
Oh, that's a good
It's the
call.
same thing priests
Wait,
have
Bob
to do.
didn't know about the
Jump
mount.
and you click.
Oh, hey man,
Watch
you
that.
learn something new every day. It's awesome. I just
Yeah,
learned
and
some
with
new
epic
tech.
mount, it's even better. That's like the real tech.
Yeah.
Yeah, on my
I've-
other
I
characters,
have
I
failed
was
that
using a
multiple
fucking
times.
Swift pot.
Oh
That's
my
great.
God.
Crazy fun
imagine.
priest fact, because I may have run out of mugs. Don't tell anyone. This is embarrassing. You can actually use the light. You can mount, jump, and light feather all in the same global cooldown, and it will work just like the mug.
Nice, nice.
Which I didn't want to tell you, but I ran out of mugs.
So is
There
that
was one time though where like there was a point where you couldn't light feather if you were on your mount and it like wouldn't dismount you, but it does dismount you now.
Yeah, it's. I'm
I
just
don't remember
so
which
sad I ran out of
iteration.
mugs, and I didn't want to tell Bob because it would break his heart.
I
But you
still
have
got mine.
you're a priest. Like
I
it
know,
doesn't
but
even
it's
matter.
like we're part of an
There's-
exclusive club of people that did the event,
Yep,
There's
and
a
our
lot of that
characters are
weird
just
stuff that
better than
happens,
everyone
like-
else's.
yep,
How
yep.
like you used to not be able to like light feather while you were mounted, but now you can. Like there's other stuff too that are that's like that. Like it used to be that if you were far enough away from an NPC and you clicked them for whatever reason, it would just have an error message that said you need to be closer to do that. But now if you're stealthed or if you're a druid stealthed, you accidentally click an NPC and it'll try and talk with them anyway, even though you're 90 yards away, and it takes you out of form and unstealths you. So
Mm,
you're just like
lovely.
sitting in the middle of nowhere, unstealth. So like they've done some weird stuff has happened.
Well,
Has
that
anybody-
one doesn't impact me as much as the slow fall one, and the slow fall one's good. So don't change that back.
All right,
Let's
I
not
quickly
overcorrect.
made a list of the most prestigious items in the game. Number 1, I'll start from 5. Okay, number 5, Arena Grandmaster. Number 4, Underworld Band. Number 3, Title Charm. Number 2, Field Festive Mug. Number 1, Gut Ripper. I can't see any problem with that list. If you, that's
Do
how
you not
good
have
it
the
is.
World Shrinker trinket?
Ah, well, that's a raid item. I don't really count that.
Okay, fine.
All right. Well, has anybody done any pre-bays? I'm curious because, like,
Full premium?
I was doing them, but then we lost a game, and I got really mad and stopped.
is it properly putting pre-bays against pre-meds?
Oh no, I have never done the 15. That sounds awful. The queues are like 20 minutes.
Oh, it killed. Okay. Yep. So everybody stopped. It's the same exact
it
thing
was
that happened
no
at
one wants
TBC.
pre-made other pre-mades.
Yeah, and so now, we used to get paid off. Like all the solo players, like whined and bitched, right? We used to get paid off for doing extra work, finding a group, getting into it, and we got paid for that. We got paid for our time and our extra work. Now we have what they wanted, and I literally have not been in one AB without at least one AFKer, and it's normally 2 to 5, man. I don't know. Hammer, what about you?
I haven't done much AB outside of the first week that I hit 40 on my warrior, but I didn't have any AFKers at that point. It might just be now that there's way more people at 40, and I just don't understand why. Like you can use the lumber for AB rep right at this point. So
Mhm.
Yep.
Oh, but they'd have to kill
Um,
people to do that. They couldn't just sit at the farm.
right, yeah, that's true. I was gonna say that's so much easier. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't experienced any of the AFK problem, but again, I have not done Arathi Basin since week 1, so I can't
week
really
1 is when
speak to
people
that.
were like actually participating.
Yeah, and it was
actively.
fun. We were having a blast, and I was queuing with 5 of us, and we were having an absolute blast.
Oh, don't get me
rushing
wrong.
Lumber Mill.
Yeah, I've
and
had a
winning.
blast in 5-man groups, even solo. Like, I love solo as the rogue stealth capping stuff. It's
Yeah, you
it's
know why? Because
hilarious.
rogues are the only class that really has fun in AB. Like,
Yeah.
you guys just
Mage
get to
gets
do whatever
40
you
on
want.
it.
But it's still like
Dude,
AFKers
we did an
has been in
AB.
there when I've had a
The
good time.
other team had 7 rogues.
I bet they had more
Half their
fun than you.
team was rogues. And it was like, what? Like everywhere we went, it was like, oh, there's 3 at Blacksmith. Let's go. Oh no, there's 10. Like, what is happening right now? Like, it was the worst thing I've ever. They had like
I think
7
we
rogues
won
and they
that
had
game,
like
though.
6 paladins.
But we won that
No,
game, didn't
did
we?
not
Oh,
win.
we didn't?
We did not win.
Oh.
No, they had 7 rogues and like 6 paladins. Like, I'm not kidding you.
It's like accidentally
was like-
mowing over a wasp nest.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, and then there was
where'd they
like
come from? Oh shit.
there was like 1 priest and 1 hunter or something random, but like it was nuts.
I don't know. It is really fun, but basically what I'm asking for, and like I did take, screenshots, clips, and like sent them off. I don't think it'll do anything, but I really ask for, if you guys are gonna ban people for buying gold for 2 weeks, you better ban them for AFK at Arathi Basin, please. Like for
There's
2
just
weeks.
no way. They're just so hard to prove an AFK in Arathi Basin, right? Like they can move every once in a while and they can claim
It's
they're
hard
guarding.
to prove in automated systems, but you could easily just look at a game. They're not going to do that, but it's the truth, though. Like, I think AFK in Arathi Basin is worse than buying gold. Sue me, suck it. I don't care what you think. I think it's worse. Like, it's worse. It is disgusting.
Isn't there like a report AFK feature?
Yes.
I know there was an era.
Yes.
And it required you to be in combat, like to get rid of it.
It does.
You had to enter
Yeah.
combat.
Yeah, you have to go enter combat. So I do that
Then all they
at the
would do
2
is
to
end.
3 people
they would get the thing and then they would just go die.
Yep.
And then continue to AFK.
And I do that on the 3 people that always just don't move for the first like 2 minutes of Arathi Basin. They're just standing there because they went to make a coffee or
I
something.
was
And
making a sandwich. You shouldn't be doing that.
yeah. And so, yeah, no, dude, it's been a problem since it began. Like, that's why the STV event is so cool. It forces you to be active, whereas AB doesn't. And people are like, oh, I'm guarding stables. And there's 5 of them there. And 5 people don't
somehow
need to
the
guard
rogues
stables.
Still ninja capped it.
Yeah, while they're standing there. Like, literally 5 people
the
at the
worst.
fucking thing,
Yeah.
and a rogue will cap it. And she's like, dude.
Oh. All right. I
Well,
think you
guys, yeah, I think I've got to go to raid. Started a second raid team. We've been running, me and Movement have been running some raids and Swamp.
Wow,
and
so Bob just started raiding
time.
without me. Proof expanded, now there he is.
we could
there
use you. Come on over. But I've been waiting for Pummel. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
going to have
Bubbles traveling
another.
or something, and
Yeah. But yeah, Mel and Bob's raid. It's in there. Like, sign up, man. We could definitely love to have you. But yeah,
bring,
we'll have a
can
good
you
time.
bring Sarth as well? We need him back.
Oh, I know, but he's been
He's been playing it yet.
he's been working a couple characters up, but
Oh, that's good.
you know,
We need him.
yeah, I missed that whole raid group, but a lot of people from that raid group have come over to ours. So if you ever want to sign up, we're like running on specific days, and then the one raid lockout a month that happens like weirdly. We just kind of schedule a raid in the middle of it, but it's been working out good so far. All right, well, that's going to end out the show. I don't have time today to tell you all the places to find us, but just know that we're switching YouTube channels, and please switch that. Actually, if you're watching this, it's going to be on the new YouTube channel this last half. So you already followed. Good on you. Hit that subscribe, click that bell so you don't miss any of our content. All right, Hammer, where can we find you?
You can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/HammerDanceGaming and over on Twitch at twitch.tv/HammerDance.
All right. And what about you, No Hit?
You can find me on YouTube, No Hit Jerome. And I don't ever do this, but we're 5 subscribers from 20,000. So
Ooh.
it's 5. That could make the number go down. I know how that's works sometimes. So it's risky. Oh, now we're 1994. Okay, we're going down. I'm just kidding.
Fine,
Oh, yeah,
fine.
always a pleasure to be here with you guys.
Always
Always
a
learn a
pleasure
lot,
to have
so
you.
Good.
Been having a great time. We learn from each other. That's the beauty. Table, where can we find you?
You can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/@tableslam and on Twitch at twitch.tv/table_slam.
Noise. And Mel, where can we find you?
I just subscribed to No Hit Jerome's channel,
This is
so
big.
you can subscribe there and help him.
Noise.
Free away.
Noise.
And that's about it.
All right.
I got.
And you can find
You
me
can find
on
me on Patreon. You know, fine.
And you can find me on Twitter at Blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. You can find me on Twitch at Blazin Bob, and you can find this show live at Blazin Bob. And you can find our Discord at warcraftreloaded.com/Discord, Patreon/Patreon. Basically, just go to warcraftreloaded.com. You can find everything you need there. Thank you, guys. We're going to get out of here. Hopefully, for you guys that didn't like our last wild and crazy episode, hopefully this one was a little more chill for you. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Take care, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much for checking out Warcraft Reloaded Podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss any future content.